That's pretty gruesome. I guess it doesn't like bowels. Welcome to Wildlife Adventures. Today, we have a very special episode I've been looking forward to for quite a while. We are visiting the largest northern gannet colony in America and one of the largest in the world overall. Most of the other major colonies are in Europe, mostly on the British Isles. This colony is on an island just off the coast of Percé, Quebec, a town mostly known for the Percé Rock, one of the world's largest natural arches. While being a sight to see and a very popular tourist attraction in the region, I don't think the Percy Rock is the most interesting thing here. I think Bonaventure Island deserves that title. Bonaventure Island used to be a seasonal cod fishing spot in the New France era. After the British conquest, it was settled permanently by fishermen. The fishing industry changed a lot over the years, and by the end of the 1960s, no one lived on the island permanently anymore. The government expropriated the last few property owners to transform the island in a bird sanctuary. You can still see remnants of the old settlement on the island. A few buildings were restored, but there used to be more. To get on the island, you must take a boat in Percy. During the day, the boat goes around the island to show you the birds on the cliffs before dropping you off at the wharf on the island. It's an interesting ride. I've done it many times before, but this time I wanted to avoid the tourists, so I took the first boat of the day. That boat goes to the island in a straight line to bring the park employees there before everyone else. If you ask, you can buy a ticket to go with them. It takes under 15 minutes to get to the island if you go in a straight line. After the boat drops you off, you need to walk across the island to get to the colony. There are multiple trails to get there. I didn't pick the shortest one. That way, I avoided most of the people that could disturb the animals. The trail I took was a bit over 3 kilometers. It was quite an easy trail, but you shouldn't try going there in a wheelchair or with a stroller. On my way to the colony, I stopped to film a group of birds I saw on a cliff. I couldn't tell what they were from the distance, but I thought I might be able to know when I reviewed the footage. I think they are Black-legged Kittiwakes. I was told there's a large population on the island, and their usual nesting areas are cliffs on inaccessible coastal areas and islands, so they wouldn't be out of place. The only other birds I know of that live on this island that could look like that are herring gulls, but they don't really live on the side of cliffs. I went ahead and I continued toward the northern gannet colony. The first indication that you're getting close is the smell. If you have over 100,000 birds in a small area, it isn't surprising that it stinks. You get used to it pretty quick. Then, when you get a bit closer, you start to hear their calls. It isn't the nicest bird call in my opinion, and they're pretty noisy, but nevertheless, it's pretty impressive. Then you finally get to see them, and at first you only see a few hundreds, but as you continue on the trail, you get to places where there are literally thousands of them sitting on the ground close to you. It's incredible. I asked the guide how many there were, and she told me there's an estimated 54,000 couples, and that's without counting the chicks and the immature birds. I doubt there's under 125,000 birds, and there's probably more. Northern gannet couples will return to the same nest for years. They only lay one egg each year, and so they only have one young. The eggs take from 42 to 46 days to hatch. That's twice as long as chickens. After the egg hatch, it takes the young from 84 to 97 days to fly for the first time. It takes over a third of a year from the time the egg is laid to the time the young can fly, which is a pretty long time. I was able to see some young. As you can see, they are quite ugly compared to the adults. As they can't fly, the young must be fed by the parents. Both parents will feed the chick by regurgitation. It's a bit like vomiting, but voluntary. They will go dive for some fishes and bring it back to the nest. From what I've seen, northern gannets are pretty bad at landing. They will often crash ungracefully on the ground to land. It's pretty funny. Northern gannet couples greet each other by knocking their bills together. I was able to film them doing so, and I think it's an interesting behavior. The species is monomorphic. Both females and males look pretty much the same. Sometimes you'll see some gannets with dark spots on them. Those are immature birds. It takes the birds 4 to 5 years to have their fully white adult plumage. Here's an example of an immature northern gannet. I think seeing this colony and being in arm's reach of thousands upon thousands of birds is a fantastic experience. I've seen this island so often over the years, but it never ceases to amaze me. Still, I was getting hungry, and I had to walk back to the wharf with all my equipment, so I had to start moving. I'm not making promises here, but I might be able to return to the island this fall to see how the youngs have grown. I'd like to, but I'm not sure I'll be able to. This time, I chose to take the longest trail because it followed the coast, and I was hoping to see common murres and razorbills. I walked a bit, hoping to see some interesting birds. After a while, I found a bunch of different birds hanging out on the same rock. There were a few species of gull. You can see some of them sleeping, which is pretty cool. But the gulls weren't what I was the happiest to see. There were some great cormorants with them, and I was glad to see them. They are pretty widespread in the Old World and Oceania, but if you want to see them in America, you need to go on the Atlantic coast. Even then, I mostly see double-crested cormorants here. There were even some of them on this rock. The great cormorant is pretty large and has a white patch on the base of the bill. The double-crested cormorants are smaller and have an orange patch instead. Both species' diet is almost only fish. They do surface dives to hunt fishes, opposed to aerial dives like the gannets. You can often find them spreading their wings to dry them. They look pretty imposing when they do that. I looked a bit farther in the distance and I saw some seals. I was told there's both grey seals and arbor seals on the coast of the island. I'm pretty sure those ones are grey seals, as they have an elongated face, opposed to the rounder one on the arbor seals. Seals are marine mammals like whales and dolphins. They always need to go back to the surface to breathe or they will drown. The answers varies a lot, so I don't have too much faith on this, but apparently they can hold their breath from 30 minutes to an hour. They don't need to worry too much about needing air. Grey seal can be found on the shores of the North Atlantic Ocean in both America and Europe. There's quite a lot of them in the United Kingdom and Ireland, just like northern gannets actually. I went on my way. I thought I was done for the day. I had seen lots of interesting animals and I was pretty satisfied. Suddenly, I heard a bunch of birds screaming in the trees. I tried finding out why, and then I found this. It's a peregrine falcon. It's not every day you get to see one from this close in the wild. I'm not sure what kind of bird it was eating, but I think it's a common murre chick. The feathers look like those of a young bird, and the color matches. It might be a razorbill too. The prey was pretty damaged, so it's hard to tell. Seeing a peregrine falcon was unusual because they aren't really supposed to be here. They can be seen on all continents except Antarctica, but usually they live hundreds of kilometers south of here. I'm not gonna complain though. They typically nest on cliffs, and there are lots of cliffs here. I imagine this will be an ideal spot for them, as they could eat all they want without too much effort. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on Earth by natural means. To hunt, they fly high above their prey, and they dive to catch them. They can reach speeds over 200 miles per hour. They also pursue prey in level flights sometimes, but they are much slower, up to 69 miles per hour. That's still faster than the highway speed limit. They mostly eat other birds. Humans have used peregrine falcons to hunt for hundreds of years. If you look at its talons, you can understand why falconers use thick leather gloves. I wouldn't want to have those digging in my hand. I was happy to see a falcon, but I had to move on to catch the next boat, so this was the last thing I was able to film on the island. Overall, it was a pretty nice day. I got to see quite a few bird species I wanted to see, but I wish I could have seen razorbills and common mewers. I guess I'm gonna have to come back to try again, maybe this fall. If you have any question about what we saw today, ask it in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer it. If you liked this episode, please leave a like. It helps out a lot. New episodes are coming every Thursday, so if you don't want to miss any, make sure to subscribe. And remember, go out there and find something cool.